Hey, welcome everybody. How's it going today? It's one of them days. I wasn't feeling awesome last week. Derek wasn't feeling awesome this week. But we're here because we're dedicated to y'all.
That's right. So please like and subscribe. Please.
We're begging you, y'all. I'm just kidding. We're not begging. But we would like you to like and subscribe. We are the Heels of Time. I'm one of your hosts, Theo. This is my esteemed co-host, Derek. And we're going to kick it off with a little something. Perrin is one of my favorite characters.
Woo!
I can't say if he is like Derek's absolute favorite character, but I know he's up there on the list for him.
Oh, he's gained a lot of points in my head. After my latest reread, everybody, I'm on my fourth reread of the entire series. Keep in mind, the first time I started reading these books, not all of them were out. So some of the books I've read like 6 or 7 times, but all of the books I've read, this will be my 4th time. I'm on the second to last book, and Perrin's stock has increased greatly. He's just such a great guy. Of how great Rand is and Matt is. Like, you could aspire to be Perrin and actually like be better for it. You know, am I right, my friend?
Hell yeah. I mean, I am not a student rereader. I like reading things like once and then be done with it for a long time. But Perrin was like my favorite character because I identified with him the most. So that was me. So I liked him straight off the bat. But needless to say, we will have spoilers for the Wheel of Time. I also am happy we're doing this because I still think they did him dirty in the series.
So what particularly do you think he's missing in the series, Theo?
Like actual screen time. Just in general, like they like to say, it's like there's 5 main characters. There's not. There's like 2. So maybe season 2 will be a little bit different. They made some changes to him that I'm like, well, kind of understand, but we'll see how they go with it.
I see what you mean.
I'm always like wait until it's done and then make a critique. But there was no rage for him. There was everything with him was like a second thought, and it's like the second thought happened beforehand, not after, if that makes sense. In the book, I would think he's more of a, oh, damn, I don't believe I just did this. Oh, sad. Violence is bad. But it was necessary. Yeah, but I feel bad about it. He never was like,
that's Perrin.
No, I can't do this. Man, you're a beast mode. Hell yeah, you can. Shit, you're a wolf. And other things. So, I don't know. Like I said, I think they did him dirty, but I'll hold judgment until the end.
I think I'm thinking about Captain America, and I know it was mostly CGI, but there's some room for a glow up, don't you think? Like, they could have him hit the gym. He's already a big dude. Who they got?
Yep, the actor's big. I think the actor's pretty ripped anyway. I think he's a pretty big beast to begin with.
Well, they stack him a little bit more and rip off his shirt sleeves, and all of a sudden you got a different Perrin there.
That is true.
So we'll see. That's just my 2 cents. I get what you're saying. You want to see Hulk smash, like the embodiment of the embodiment of strength and the embodiment of power, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So.
Which also leads
why
us
we think about that.
But it leads us into our topic of the day. Yes, it's Perrin, but as we have said in our previous episodes, not every character is just one straight up mythological beast, right?
Mm-mm.
They're kind of a mix. Multiple gods and goddesses can be in multiple characters.
It's like the deck got shuffled.
Yes, and got divvied up kind of equally. To a point with some stressors. So yes, we've compared Perrin to Hercules. I think that's a pretty fair assessment, like 1 for 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other one we're going to compare him to today is actually Zeus. slash Jupiter slash Jove, whatever you want to call it with the Romans. So, little recap, and this is going to be a Derek show because we've done Zeus a lot already. So I'm just going to give you some maybe some new facts and some little tidbits. Yes, he's the god of sky and thunder. And you can be like, wait, I don't get how that works with Perrin. It does.
It does.
In an interesting way. Yep, top of the pantheon. He's like the number one head honcho, both Roman and Greek. Interesting fact. I mean, the Romans named Jupiter, like the planet, or they named the god the planet, and it's actually the biggest planet in the universe, right? Or not universe, but in our galaxy.
In our solar system,
Solar system, rather. Yep. So that's one. Two is actually the ancient Babylons that first saw Jupiter. So he goes back, way back. So we're talking 7th century BCE. So we're talking far back. He's depicted always like a middle-aged-ish, big dude, ripped, beard, long hair, godly looking, I guess you could say, just epitome of a human character. His attributes, yep, he carries a scepter. You kind of can say that's a hammer-ish. Okay. Eagle. That one's important, so it's a bird.
So let me break in real quick.
Yep.
So maybe we can go kind of back and forth.
Sure.
Because I think there are going to be a few similarities as we go on.
Go for it, bro.
So in the book, Perrin ends up becoming Lord of the Two Rivers.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of ends up becoming their father, their sky father. Okay? Think about it like in that context. He's their lord, right? So in doing so, though, he has a wolf banner. So we see Perrin is able to have an aspect of a wolf. But the other banner, equally important, is the banner of Manithrin, which is the ancient country's banner that he's bringing back up. And in this case, that banner is an eagle. So eagle being the symbol of Zeus, Perrin gets the eagle. And as you said, he doesn't have a scepter, but he carries his hammer into war almost as if it's a scepter. Like it's kind of his symbol of rule. Yeah. So I would say, yeah, I would hand that to you as well. And then tying this together with that last point, or your first point, Perrin is imposing. He's almost as tall as Rand, but he's like head and shoulders muscular. He started working in the forge really, really young. There's a background story of that about his father giving him a birthday gift and how the anticipation of the gift was better than receiving the gift. So he thought, how could I relive that experience? And he thought the best thing to do was go to work at the forge, where pretty much everything is just anticipation because you're constantly working to just slightly alter your project ever so slightly, ever narrowly approaching your goal. So, so I think he fits that quite nicely. He has the stature, he has the imposing strength, he has the gaits, and also he has a very healthy beard. So that's kind of... Now, is he a young man? Yeah, but what is the beard? Generally, the beard is the symbol of middle age and husbandry, right?
Right. Yep. Little play on words, because he's kind of an old soul, though.
Okay, yeah.
I would say that. He also, the cornucopia, because of course he's like the god of the king of gods, so makes sense. Also carries around an aegis, again. Kind of say that's the thing of his rule. 2 four-legged animals, the ram and the lion. Did you want to break in for the lion?
That's very interesting, actually. He has 2 queens that serve him. One is the queen of Altera. I don't know if that ends up being the ram or not. That's why I'm saying this first. Because for sure, the other queen that serves him is the lion. And what do I mean by that? She's the queen of Andor, and she sits on the lion throne, I believe. So So that's Perrin's golden lion. She has a hair of gold, and the throne is gold. So yeah, most definitely, we see another thread woven, weaving Zeus and Perrin together, I think.
I think so too. So the one thing that I would say is anti-Zeus
Okay, interesting. Go for it.
is like totally the opposite. Zeus likes to get around. Married to Hera.
I see where you're going with this.
He has multiple encounters with women folk, mortal and immortal. Perrin's not quite like that. I would think he's actually more of the opposite, at least in that regard.
So Perrin is completely monogamous to his wife.
Yes.
Okay. What's interesting though is in the adaptation process, it's always this point where you want to hide your tracks a little bit and do a little juxtaposition.
Mm-hmm.
So I will pose to you that this fits in just fine because in fact Berlain, the hawk, desperately pursues Perrin. And he constantly is fighting off her advances. And she has known for making many advances to many men. So it's kind of the opposite there.
Mm-hmm.
But Theo, isn't that such a specific opposite? Like, it's not just like, oh, he's loyal to his wife. There's another woman who has Zeus's reputation. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And now she is pursuing Perrin.
Him. Oh, yeah. No, that's why I brought it up the way I did.
Oh, for sure.
So it's interesting because we said he took little snippets.
Right.
Most, I'll be honest, most of the Greek gods and Roman, they are like, yeah, whatever. Let it roll. But he does not in the least. So it is what it is. However...
Well, hold on. No, go ahead, man.
But I was going to say, so Zeus married to Hera, right? Hera knows of all of his trysts and is like super pissed about all of his stuff because she has her own thing. But man, do they grind each other? Hell yeah. Does Hera get revenge and yell at him and do all the stuff? Yes. Sound familiar to a couple characters?
So check this out. You'll really like this, but I have to ask you something real quick.
Oh, whenever you do this, I always get stumped.
Zeus's reputation about being promiscuous, does that stop at the human folk population?
No. Gods and goddesses. Or not gods, but goddesses.
And does it extend even further than that? Like, is he like, oh, that's a nice lamb over there? Or a nice salmon or whatever?
Sort of.
Kind of, sort of, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was like, damn, that girl's fine. However, Hera's going to whoop her or kill her, because that kind of usually happened. If Hera got wind, something bad would happen to the kid or the lady.
Right.
If they were mortal. So he would potentially change them into animals, usually after the act, not during.
There you go. Okay,
but
so check this out.
He would morph them into something else to protect them.
So check
from
this
Hera's
out.
wrath.
In a viewing, men who represents kind of the fates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tells Perrin that he has a falcon perching on one shoulder and a hawk perching on the other. Now, I mentioned Berlain is the hawk, and she's kind of the inverted woman Zeus as far as the aspect of promiscuity goes. But check this out. His wife is the falcon.
His actual wife. Perrin's actual wife.
Perrin's actual wife is the falcon. So he's kind of getting down and dirty with that bird. But Perrin's the eagle, so that kind of makes him the king of the birds. But also in the dream, Perrin is young bull. So he's also a bull in a way, but he's literally in the dream able to turn into a wolf. young bull is just a name for the wolf. But it's still a representation nonetheless. So real quick, the main point I believe you're getting at, before I went off on a little tangent there,
it's gonna be the day of tangents. It's all good.
Is Hera cool? Is Hera cool with Zeus and his promiscuity? Promiscuity, whatever that word is. Yeah, thank you.
No, absolutely
not at all. So check this out.
This is not gonna.
After Perrin rescues Fael from the Shido Aiel, which capture her at some point, and Theo has speculated these very people may represent some kind of deities, maybe not quite gods, but maybe something at least like on the angel level or Valkyrie level or something like that. Mm-hmm. So you have Hera being captured by capable people, let's just say, to make the analogous story. Well, once he gets his wife back, once Perrin, as Zeus in this case, gets his wife back, there's this rumor that Perrin has slept with Berlain, which he has not. However, technically, he did sleep in her tents, just she wasn't there. So you can see how rumors would build and whatever. He was being medically tended to by Aes Sedai or whatever. That's just where he was. So at any rate, Fael approaches Berlain and she goes, well, unfortunately, there's only one way to deal with this, and we're going to have a knife fight to the death.
Yep.
So that sounds like Hera.
A little bit.
They end up thinking of a clever way out of the situation. But the other thing is, Fael, that's our Hera, tells Perrin, our Zeus, that it's actually proper to have loud yelling arguments publicly. And it's improper to go too long without such a public display. So does that sound like Hera and Zeus kind of having a squabble?
Yep.
I would say it's pretty good.
Yeah, they were kind of known for their arguments. It's like, we'll leave now.
Speaking of the strength of Zeus, at one point, Perrin became so angry when talking to Fael's father that he crushed a silver goblet in his hands.
Yep.
So that's not normal strength.
No, that's
and speaking of strength, and this probably could have fit better in our Hercules episode, but anyway, there's this part in the book that I think they modified for the show. Perrin is able to pick up a bar lock, like a big wooden beam of a bar covering a door to prevent it from opening, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In the book, they comment that it would take at least 3 men to lift up this bar.
Yep.
Perrin hoists it up over his head like a deadlift and just throws it like 10 feet down the street. That's quite Herculean, I would say.
Yeah.
Now, also, though, I think maybe they auto-riffed on the material when they did the show. When Rand knocks down that door, the oak iron or whatever, and the lady goes, that it would take 3 men to knock that down. So just wanted to throw that in real quick. So, back to our Zeus trail. What do you think? Is there a little bit more coming to light than maybe even our host thought?
I mean, I already thought he was hypothetically Zeus anyway.
I know it's hard to get a lot by you. I know.
Sometimes. You stump me a lot when you ask me those crazy questions, and I'm like, what? So, it has nothing to do with the show or Perrin or anything. But Zeus and Jupiter, Proto-Indo-European word, means day, light, sky, / /. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, you think that has nothing to do with the book?
Well, it has something to do with the book. I said like Perrin in terms of like Perrin equaling day, night, sky.
No. I have a riddle because I actually...
You found something?
I think it might. Yes.
Oh, okay, go for it.
So,
yeah, this will be interesting.
What is Perrin's eagle flag? It's Manithrin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Theo, aren't they an ancient civilization?
Oh, yeah, true. Which would obviously be a
proto-Indo-European thing?
True, and as... Oh, that's actually a really good point, because as we have hypothesized more factually, but hypothesized, this is still taking place in our world. It's still taking place on Earth. It's just how the wheel rotates around, right?
Right, exactly.
So, yeah, that kind of makes sense because the ancient Manithrans could have been European.
They could have been, yeah.
Because we already know about America and Moscow already being in the books.
Yep.
So if we know about those, who's to say that all the other regions aren't around too? We just haven't seen them yet.
Right, exactly. There's something I look forward to. I really want to see what accent the Shanshan have.
Dude, I was about to say the same. Not quite the same, but yes.
Because I guess Robert Jordan had a pet peeve that everyone got their accent wrong in all of the audiobooks, because it says they slur their words, but it's not like they're drunk. They're not like, oh man, I'm so drunk. They're Texans. That's what he said. He's like, Shanshan are Texans. And at first it's like, what are you talking about? Do you mean like they sound Texan? Well, yeah, they sound Texan, but Shanshan, that is America. That's on the other side of the ocean. And in book, I want to say book 13, 12 or 13, one of the books written by Brandon Sanderson, he says that across the ocean, there are mighty winds that were blowing that in another age were referred to as trade winds. Well, that'd be our age that they're referred to as trade winds.
Right.
So that's pretty cool, right?
So the crazy thing, what I was going to say actually is about the Seanchan and going through the different lands and everything.
Yeah.
Who has a great navy? And yeah, I mean, that spoiled it with the Texan stuff, and like the United States of America, I think, has a pretty dang good navy.
Yeah, I would say so. Folk.
So it would make sense that going down the line as each turn of the wheel goes through,
right?
You keep in mind of what your past did. So what did they have? They had great seafaring people. Or at least the ingenuity. Now, yes, did it come from... yes, I know people are going to say, well, the Vikings were killer. Hell yeah, they were. I don't know about Scandinavia now if they've got super baller navy. Yes, does Russia have a killer navy? Yeah, it could be Russia, but they're not from across the world.
Right. Exactly.
Mean, depending on where the world this is actually taking place, because I don't think we know.
We don't know for sure, but if you look at... There are a couple maps that are, quote, part of canon, and they show like the pre-breaking world looks pretty much like our map with just a few differences. And then it shows there's this in-between map, and you're like, oh, that's definitely looks halfway in between the map that you see in the books and our world today. So there's evidence that Shanshan is America. I mean, take that for what you want. If it destroys your reading experience, then leave it alone. Because it's never spelled out specifically. I'm going off of some things that Robert Jordan said in interviews.
So, I mean, it kind of makes sense. I mean, obviously, we are Americans. If you guys didn't know that already. But did the Seanchan do a lot of stuff that we do? Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, including the bad stuff, right?
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it would kind of make sense that would be. They're not. I wouldn't say the protagonists or antagonists either way of the book series.
But no, they think they're doing.
They just think they're doing the right thing.
They think they're doing the right thing. They bring law, and there's even a part of the book where Rand goes, who am I to judge? I visited some of the occupied lands, and people are better off there than in some of my own lands.
Yep.
So he's like, the roads are cleaner, people are being fed, there's justice. Everyone, like in the famous words of, American politics, everyone has a job,
Yeah. So... All right, we got that. Like I said, today is going to be the day of tangents. So we will be doing a Ciantian episode eventually.
Oh, most definitely.
Because they're dope. But yeah, that's not today. So back to the Perrin at hand. Interestingly, going back to the planet Jupiter, like the actual planet in the sky.
Yeah.
So, Babylons were the first people to see it. Cool.
Or at least to name it properly.
Yeah, to name it whatever they decided to name it.
Right.
So,
right.
yeah, the Romans were like, this thing looks huge, quote unquote. So, yeah, we're going to name it Jupiter. Greeks are like, probably technically before the Romans, but whatever. They're like, well, chest pound, nah, it's going to be Zeus. So that's what that planet is.
Right.
Because, they got to name it after their king. So the Mesopotamians saw Jupiter, as in the planet Jupiter, as Marduk.
Yeah, Marduk.
Which I think we've mentioned a couple times before. So I thought that'd be interesting. So the planet's been named Jupiter for interesting reasons. And different areas named that planet after their king of gods, which is
after their king of gods. But hold up, Theo, in another episode, didn't we discuss that Jupiter and Zeus might have the same proto name, right? So I'm not going to remember this, but the root of Zeus is something like Deus or Deus.
Deus, yep.
And the root of Jupiter, it would be more like Eupator or something like that. So
Father.
like the sky. So you got the Sky Fathers, right? Yeah. So that's pretty cool. If that turns out to be a part of our history, it's kind of cool to see that kind of reflected in the Wheel of Time, how things kind of change a little bit.
Correct. So now everyone's probably thinking, all right, dudes, you've made some good points. Hopefully.
Right.
You've gone on some cool tangents. Hopefully. But you still haven't attacked the one biggest thing that both Zeus and Jupiter do is throw those damn lightning bolts.
Ah, yes.
How is Perrin? Cool, we got like his background, his interactions with folk. But okay, if Zeus and Jupiter are the gods of light, sky, thunder, how does that equivalent to Perrin?
I've got a great answer for you.
Very interesting thing about that. And it also comes in the rule of two, because there's two things that make him powerful in the sky. I'll let Derek spill the beans on this one. I know it.
Thank you, my friend.
But you reminded me, so go for it,
my friend.
Man. Do it.
So Perrin, he's not a channeler, right? So that means he can't himself literally produce thunder, lightning, fire, water pouring down the heavens, or any of that stuff. Well, what he can do is invoke his Ashaman traveling companions that he has. And these are Nailed and Grady. So Nailed and Grady are powerful Ashaman who Rand trusts and appoints to Perrin to go with Perrin's army after Dumai's Well occurs, after Perrin rescues Rand from Dumai's Well. So he trusts these Ashaman, and they are his thunder and lightning. What's more, and I want to know if this is something that's Zeus or something nearby Zeus that you can help us out with. But what's interesting, and speaking of power, one of these two Ashaman actually helps Perrin make his power wrought hammer. Okay, so Perrin forges this power wrought hammer, and when he uses it on Shadow Spawn, it creates effects similar to thunder and lightning when he hits their flesh with it. So is there someone in relation to Zeus who might be some kind of blacksmith or similar kind of skilled area?
Yeah, actually, yes. There is another actual god. Name is Hephaestus. He is the god of blacksmiths. He's the one that basically creates all of the weaponry, if you want to call them weapons or signets, whatever, of the Greek gods. And I don't say he's a trap maker, but he could also do traps. He's super smart. Technically has no relation to Zeus other than he was birthed by Hera.
Okay.
So, but Hera hates him because he's deformed.
I see.
So she kind of never really helps him out.
But why would you? So what does he do for Zeus then? That
he creates his thunderbolts.
Ah, okay. So that could be Neild or Grady then, or it could be Neild or Grady helping him make that weapon, right? Kind of that whole process. Okay, when that would occur. So he's kind of Hephaestus and Zeus rolled into one. I think there's a good argument for that.
I would think so, since Perrin is a blacksmith.
He literally.
So
and he's able to make things and forge things that are not just material. So there's this reference, Theo, where he says that he forged Aram to be a killer. So that was that tinker that he turned into like a murderer, basically, his bodyguard, really. And he's like, I forged him like a piece of metal because that's what I do. I'm like the master blacksmith.
Interesting. And I wasn't, by the way, did I say Hephaestus had nothing to do with Zeus? Or everything to do with Zeus?
You may have said something about nothing to do with Zeus.
I meant the other way around. Everything to do with Zeus.
Right, he makes his bolts and everything.
No, actually, it's Zeus that lames him, technically.
Oh.
Yeah, so they were having one of their famous arguments, Zeus and Hera. And Zeus, being Zeus, was like, grrr. And then Hephaestus kind of got in the middle of them because, that's their son. It was like, no, daddy, no, mommy, don't fight. Zeus was like, poosh. So he ended up lame. Now, is that technically from Zeus? No, they don't really say. That's like the theory. So, but because of that, for whatever reason, even though he came to her aid, Hera hates him for it. Like I said,
you'll like this.
They're weird.
You'll like this though. So Hephaestus is their son, and he's like kind of deformed. You said.
Well, only because his dad beats the shit out of him. If that's the theory.
Well, but that's just a theory, okay,
yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So check this out. One of Perrin's two Ashaman, I believe it's Grady, has a son, and Grady's son is said to be ugly. Like, ugly AF. Like, Perrin says, I'm sure you have a beautiful boy. And Grady's like, beautiful? He's like, not my kid. He's like, he's a biggins, but he ain't good looking. That's basically hilarious. What he says.
Oh my god, that's
so you could see how, like, if Grady is summoning lightning bolts, and eventually Grady becomes part of Perrin's persona, like in the stories, and he's the one that has this ugly son. Well, maybe it's his son that ends up being the blacksmith.
Right. Definitely could be.
It's just a very interesting set of coincidences there.
That they're all kind of not quite lining up, and again, not one person, but several, all wrapped into one, all around one character.
Right.
So it's like an onion, man. You got to peel them layers.
Peel it off. Like, for example, it's not Rand that has the Ashaman with the ugly kid. It's not Matt. It's Perrin.
Right. So it's interesting. At least it's interesting to me.
I think so.
So, what else you got for us, man? Like I said, we've blasted Zeus by I think like 4 or 5 times already. So I don't want to bore the readers too much with my blandering. So, got anything more for us?
I do have one last thing. So, let's say the pantheon of Greek gods are able to go to a special else place, right, to contemplate things.
Okay.
AKA Mount Olympus.
Right.
Because there's a real Mount Olympus physically.
There is.
But then there's also Mount Olympus, the domain of the gods, which you can't just walk to.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
One can't just simply
Go.
walk to Mordor, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
You
yeah,
can fly there though.
maybe so, right? So Perrin is able to step into this elseworld place called the World of Dreams.
Right.
He calls it the Wolf Dream. Well, he's there. Two things that are Zeus related. In this book, the second to last book, spoiler, you find out that Perrin being able to be strong in the wolf dream isn't because he's part wolf. It's actually because Perrin is like the aspect of power and strength incarnate, and he's just so strong as a human. He or as a quote unquote possible deity, right, Theo? That he's literally able to just will things with his mind the way he wants them to be. So his willpower is basically infinite. So while he's in this world of dreams, anything he wills is his reality. And while he's there, he's able to fight with blows that would level buildings. So within this universe, he's faster than a speeding bullet. He's more powerful than a locomotive. He's able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. He is Superman. He is that version of Jehovah. He's that version of Jupiter. He's that version of Zeus. He's like masculine.
He's the Thunderbringer.
He's the Thunder Walker. He's the Thunder. He's all of that. He's power in this sense of the word, like not like a lightning bolt, but like, damn, he's powerful. And it never seems to end. So if he wills something with his mind, he just makes it work. So in this world, you could imagine that if these are stories as a basis for mythology, Zeus, is he strong enough to just knock a mountain over? Would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So someone sees that happen in the world of dreams. Perrin knocked a mountain over with his bare hands.
Yep. And you know what? Who's to say that 3,000 plus years ago, or even 5,000, 7,000, 10,000 years ago, there were some crazy ass individual that were like super people. Who, if people saw like the Mountain, like the world's strongest man, the Mountain, do some of the stuff he does, and then people, it starts as real.
Right.
And then the legend starts, and then it becomes into myth. Who's to say that some of these things weren't real way back in the day, and it just got morphed over time? So there's always a little bit of truth in a myth, in a legend.
Right.
And the stuff that Perrin does in the dreamland, or even in real world, the next spinning or two spinnings of the wheel, he's a god.
Right, exactly. So, like, these things that Zeus did, Perrin accomplishes one way or the other. Mm-hmm. But in another spinning, you may have, we come around to the original version of Zeus, and he's literally doing these things.
Right.
Yeah, most definitely.
And that in theory, that goes for all the characters.
For all of the characters, yeah. Exactly.
So...
All right. Do you have anything else for us, or does that pretty much wrap it up?
Good. With Perrin and Zeus, I think we got that pretty much locked down, man.
Pretty good.
Yeah. All right, y'all.
There is one more quick thing.
You always do this to me, man. You always ask if there's anything, and then I'm like, cool.
Who's our favorite Greek god that represents Matt?
Hades.
Now Rand, isn't he the Koromor?
Yep.
The god of the sea folk?
Sea folks.
So Poseidon. What would that... Who say that again?
Poseidon, Neptune.
Poseidon. Oh, and if Perrin is Zeus...
That's the three bros.
That's the three main brothers of Greek mythology right there.
Yep. So that would kind of... make them the three. Just saying.
There you go.
And even if you want to branch out into 5.
Oh, most definitely.
If you wanted to go to the females,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to branch. I think Athena is up there with probably Egwin.
Okay, yeah. Athena, the mighty warrior.
Right? Well, smarts, strategy.
And wisdom.
Yep. So I think that she's that. I think she would be that, in my opinion.
Interesting. Okay, I like that. We'll have to do an episode, man.
And ironically, I think Nynaeve could. She's kind of the enigma. She's a bunch. She's a bunch, but I would almost say Hera in a way.
With her temper?
Between her temper, I wouldn't say she doesn't do a hell of a lot, but she does, as in like Hera. But she does stuff like out of a reactionary basis is a lot of what you hear of what she's doing. She does a lot of other things, but what do you hear? Oh yeah, Zeus just went after this person, she dead now. That kid's dead. Or some bad things go down, or you son of a bitch, you did this to me. Whoosh, next. A lot of her stuff is out of anger. So
interesting. Dude, we'll have to look into that for another episode too.
I know. Exactly. So I got all 5 semi. Like I said, Nynaeve is interesting because she changes over the course of the books.
So you think we need to revisit her after our Prideful Venus episode?
Oh hell yeah, absolutely.
I think you're right. I think there's a lot more Nynaeve material there.
Yeah, because like I said, she's the one character I think that changes the most in the book series.
I mean, as a matter of fact, we even have a short episode about, is there something in real life similar to the wacky spelling of her name? And as it turns out, there is. So we've talked about it before. We're not going to mention it right now.
Nah. If you like it, just go back and watch some of our stuff.
That's right.
Oh, and then you can probably like us then and subscribe at the same time.
All right, dude.
All right, I think we're good. So, in wrapping, Perrin, Zeus, yeah, I think so. I think he's got definitely some traits. Again, not pure, not 100%. Like all the other characters, he's a little wrapped up in a little bit of here, a little bit of there. But I think we've made a good, compelling argument that he's got some of these traits in him. And
most definitely.
Relating back to the book and to the series a little bit, if you're actually wrapping it down, and our previous episodes, I think we're starting to get a good basis for how Robert Jordan kind of came up with some stuff. We hope, we like. If you disagree, that's cool. Hey, like and subscribe to us anyway. And then hit us up in the comments if we ever actually see any before they get taken down. We'll see. All right, y'all. In closing, have a great week and stay healthy.
And please like and subscribe.